It's September 26th, 2016. We're at Marlins Park in Miami, Florida, with Bartolo Colon pitching for the Mets in the bottom of the first. With no runs on the board, the Marlins leadoff hitter Dee Gordon waits for the 2-0 pitch. Look, I know, on paper, the stakes are low. There's no championship up for grabs, we're only 3 outs into the game. But this next pitch will become part of a moment so much more impactful than even a World Series would be for Miami. To appreciate something that's bigger than just one game or sports in general, we need to rewind. Gordon is about to have one of the most memorable at-bats of his career. But it's coming during a season that he'd probably rather look past. Not because of anything he did or didn't do on the field, more so because of the fact that he couldn't be on the field for much of 2016. In April, he received an 80-game suspension, which was a big blow to a Marlins team that managed just 71 wins a year before, with Gordon playing in 145 games. And by playing, I mean he dominated. It took him just 28 games to record his 50th hit, and by season's end, he led the National League in hits, batting average, and stolen bases, which all paired nicely with his first Gold Glove award. Doing so in his first season in Miami, he was part of a core making the Marlins fun, or at least watchable again. What Gordon lacked in power, he more than made up for in speed, which he showed off on June 30th, 2015 against the Giants when he legged out an inside-the-park home run. This was his first homer of the season, and one of just 8 that he would have in his 5-year career entering 2016. He didn't add to that total in the first 21 games of the season before getting suspended, nor has he in the 53 since his return. And while his numbers have slipped from the year before, considering he was otherworldly in 2015, Gordon's doing just fine. He showed very little rust from the 80 games off. The trouble is, with or without Gordon, the Marlins are all but mathematically eliminated from the postseason for the 13th straight season. It'll even be a struggle to finish 500, and considering who they're facing tonight, it will be just a bit tougher. Partially because Colon is famously big and even more famously sexy, which can cause a distraction, but also he's a good pitcher. And with the start tonight, he and the Mets have a bit more to play for as they look to lock up a wildcard spot for their first postseason appearance since last year. If they can, it'll be New York's first back-to-back playoffs since the 99 and 2000 seasons, which was all the way back when Colon was a sweet, starry-eyed 27-year-old. That was 7 teams, 1 50-game suspension for PEDs, and just a couple LBs ago for the pitcher. Much like Gordon, Colon came out of his 2012 suspension looking fresh. He finished the year with the second most wins in the AL and led the league in complete game shutouts. That earned him a nice contract from the Mets, which Colon repaid by recording his most strikeouts since his Cy Young winning 2005 season. And before tonight, in 2016 he had been pretty solid, especially over his last 10 games when the Mets needed it the most. And they needed it tonight. They're facing a Marlins team that's playing for so much more than whatever fleeting postseason hopes exist. And regardless of which side is pitching, Miami would have a presence on the mound. That number 16 wasn't going anywhere, especially not from the hearts and minds of Marlins players, coaches, or fans. Miami's star, the young ace Jose Fernandez, was found dead less than 2 days earlier after a boat he was in crashed into a jetty. This devastated his teammates, their entire city, and the league as a whole. No one wanted to believe his story would end like this. He arrived in the US as a 15-year-old after his 4th attempt to defect from Cuba. On the journey over, he dove into the water to save a woman who had fallen in, which turned out to be his mother. After settling in Tampa, he won a pair of high school state titles and drew the eyes of Marlins management, who selected him 14th overall in the 2011 draft. He struck out 8 over 5 innings in his debut on April 7th, 2013 against the Mets, and while a New York comeback in the 9th spoiled his result, he'd go on to earn NL Rookie of the Year honors and finish 3rd in Cy Young voting. In addition to that, in his final game of the season, he crushed a ball that went out for his first career home run against Atlanta.
The
And it also led to the bench's clearing once he made it home after Atlanta disapproved of him spitting his way around third and taking a little too long to look at the ball. When it came to his pitching, some argued it was the greatest season by a rookie in MLB history. So, to no one's surprise, Fernandez got the nod to be the Marlins opening day starter in his second season, making him the youngest to do that in the NL since Dwight Gooden in 1986. And although his season came to an end in May, he returned halfway through 2015 looking like the ace the Marlins needed. That carried into this season for Fernandez, which included an unbeaten May, part of 8 straight starts that ended with him earning the win. In his final outing against the division-leading Nationals, he struck out 12 across 8 scoreless innings, and afterward told a teammate that he felt it was the best game he'd ever pitched. But when he passed away, it wasn't tragic because he was a great pitcher. It devastated the communities because he was loved as a person. Tonight at Marlins Park, you could see that in the stands and around the stadium with memorials popping up as they had throughout all of Miami. And you could also see it on every Marlins player, physically in the fact that they all wore his jersey in tribute, but also in the emotions openly on display for the last 36 hours. The Marlins canceled their game on the day of Fernandez's death, and many took the time to open up about the 24-year-old. The theme of their memories was the joy he'd brought to and took from baseball. Marlins manager Don Mattingly likened him to how kids play the game, having never lost that early passion. Eduardo Perez said that all Fernandez wanted to do was have fun and be on that mound and play the game. Not work the game, but play the game, and he played it beautifully. Marlins president David Sampson, backed by the entire team, spoke at length about Jose and referenced the fact that they would make sure no one forgot the man that Fernandez was.
His story is representative of a story of hope and of love and of faith, and no one will ever let that story die.
Those who had grown up with him over the last few years expressed their love, their hurt, and how much they'd miss Fernandez's daily positivity. Gordon posted on his Instagram a sentiment shared by many teammates. They were family, and they'd lost a brother. Ahead of the opening pitch tonight, they surrounded the mound with number 16 for a moment of silence and the national anthem, as Marlins players fought through tears. The Mets crossed the infield and both teams embraced following the anthem, showing the impact felt by the entire league. Miami took to the mound as a team and left messages in the dirt for their pitcher, before taking their places as their first game without Jose began. But the tribute was far from over, and even the first pitch of this at-bat had purpose. Dee Gordon has batted lefty his entire career, so where he's currently at, it makes sense. But when he came to the plate, he stepped into the opposite batter's box. Settling in as a righty, just like Jose, Gordon actually mimicked Fernandez's batting stance to a T, knee wiggle and all. After taking ball 1, he swapped out equipment.
And I would guess that was Jose's helmet.
And returned to his natural side where he took ball 2. With less than 2 days separating this pitch from Fernandez's death, every emotion has filtered through these players, this organization, and their fans. In and outside the stadium located in Little Havana, memorials grow, honoring the man who loved baseball but openly loved life even more. And while the healing process needed more time, for today at least, they were back to just playing baseball. But Gordon, who has never been mistaken for a power hitter, has one more salute for his brother. Welcome to a moment in history.
Gordon to right, it's deep, and it's gone! Dee Gordon has hit it out, and the Marlins have a 1-0 lead.
I'm sorry, here's something happier and much more lighthearted. It's my treat for you. Or, if you want to keep this train going, check out our episode about how the Marlins accidentally won a World Series while they collapsed. Subscribe to SB Nation and think about puppies.